solve some common problems, and it's and over another project that he did beforehand, he founded a charity organization called Sozialhelden, which is social heroes in Germany, in Berlin, and that is one of the projects this organization is looking at. It feeds in quite well with the talk that we had yesterday about Alice, if I pronounce it right. The idea, could you create these micromaps for specific needs? I wonder if you have any question regarding this project. I'm happy to answer, as far as I know. I'm here as a user and as a tiny contributor. If you would like to get more involved in the development part, the group is based in Germany, but they have as well quite a good English website. So feel free.
So again, you're putting the data back into the OSM database?
Yeah, that would be then, as far as I understand that, the information that you're creating, because you're creating as well an account with OpenStreetMap, you would put back. And the iPhone application will help you sort of to contribute, add information to it. But I don't find it so easily to plan with that iPhone application a trip. So if you would like to do that, it makes more sense to go to the website and check out places beforehand and look at the website actually. And it takes that data.
But if you know the tags that go into the database, you don't need to put them in via wheelmap.org, you can just enter them directly in OpenStreetMap, is that correct?
That might be the case. I'm not fully sure about that.
Yeah, they just use so I think it's like it's wheelchair, yes, limited now, I think, are the three tags. It's something like that.
It has 3 categories, and if you see they're wrong, you can as well add them, change them. So it is as well seen as if you have a good coverage of map, you can encourage as well businesses to say, listen, if your cafe doesn't support wheelchair toilets or doesn't have toilets at all, you might like to add that.
Sure.
But here in the UK, it's a very early start on that. So this might have in the future potential to change things.
Okay. And the criteria is that the cafe, the location itself is accessible by wheelchair and also the toilets, is that correct?
There's 2 types of categories. One is you have a fully accessible toilet, disabled toilet, and also you have an entrance. The steps. And that's the full. And if you just don't have a toilet, or it's not needed, for example, shop next door, it's not needed, and that would be still seen as that's a full. If your cafe doesn't have that, then you might be limited, or has a step to a certain area that is limited. And if there is a high step, it's not available.
Okay. So if you can get into the cafe on a wheelchair less than 7 centimetres, but you can't get to the toilets because they're downstairs. Yeah,
you can have a.
So that'd be limited in that case.
Yeah, but it is as well. If you're unsure about it, there's always sort of, and I can show you that later on my phone and stuff. There's always a definition, so how it doesn't exactly work. You can look it up easily. So that makes it quite handy because I forget it. On a regular basis.
It's a really nice interface for just entering some information. Like there's 3 clicks, isn't it, to do it? You pick the venue, you pick what the accessibility is, and that's.
Yeah, I guess because they came up with this criteria, that makes it easier. I guess for other applications like Habitat, that could be as well maybe one of the ways to go. Maybe we're gonna see how micro mapping in that sense turns out, or if there's interest, community interest to build something like that, because it obviously takes a lot of volunteer work to make that happen. And currently this applications, for instance, just available on the iPhone, where a lot of people have an Android phone around the community. So that is something in progress.
Okay.
There's a kind of thread. I'm new to OpenStreetMap as a project, so I'm trying to get my head round it, and there's a sort of thread here because like what you're doing sounds really useful, but also some kind of comment about the fact that the toilets are downstairs, or there's all kinds of related bits of data that would be helpful to people, almost like reviews of a place, and I think this is what I mean by linked data, not some very formal kind of eGov type thing, but how we connect it up. And it's the same, if you wanted to have map otter sightings on the water of Leith, there's some stuff that should go into OSM, but then there's other peripheral, ephemeral kind of stuff that would be really nice to have. So how do we connect it up?
I guess, and I'm here really an amateur, but the data should be an OpenStreetMap. But if you want to look at a particular information, there should be wise interfaces that extract this data out and give you just the amount of detail that you need in order to do your journey, to live your life independently. And this is maybe worth looking at mobile application, like mobile websites that help you, that are just about to look at what kind of data do we have over wheelchair access. So that this is it's nice if there is data out, but it needs to be in a format that you can use if you are in that situation. So there's two ways. We need to collect more. On the other side, we need to create more interfaces that are accessible, understandable, learnable, enjoyable, something you would like to use, and it's fun to use.
Just on that, I was just having a look in the wiki, and it does say that there's a tag here just saying put in wheelchair : description equals, so you can maybe put more information in that. So they've got wheelchair equals yes, limited, and no, and then so for wheelchair description, maybe toilets downstairs.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can add.
So I mean that information could get put in there. It could just appear as a text box.
Sure.
Yeah.
It could appear in one of those little bubbles. I don't know if it does at the moment or not, but I'm sure that could be added.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess there's two things. There's one which is stuff like that, which doesn't fit in the existing tags, but is descriptive, like description, but you're kind of stating facts. And then the others you were talking about is like more review type things, like it's wheelchair accessible, but it's a rubbish cup of coffee. Which you probably wouldn't put in OpenStreetMap. Yeah, like the subjective stuff, because I might think it's a rubbish cup of coffee, but you might quite like that coffee. Or
I'll drink any coffee.
You'll drink any coffee. Yeah. So yeah, OpenStreetMap is great for the factual stuff, and then the subjective stuff is, I think, where you need to then figure out how to link it in, or it becomes a source of data for other things rather than the be all and end all.
I suppose it seems straightforward to me, never having done it, to see that like a web application, in this area can use OSM data, because it can, that's straightforward. But it's how somebody could go through the mapping side of it and find a link back to the fact that there's a review of this place. It's the other way around, it seems.
What you have as an interface if you add new locations, and I'm happy to show you it on my phone, because I think the images are not so good in my presentation.
You can I guess you can bring up the website as well on the.
Just go to wheelback.org.
Yeah, I'm always,
Can you stop battery?
I don't trust internet connection a lot. And we might have luck.
Somebody's even mapped the Centre of Contemporary Arts.
I think we tagged that last night.
Oh, it was there, yeah. It was a day thing.
Yeah, we were having a look at it, weren't we?
Yeah. The Electron Club.
I don't think the Electron Club was in, is there?
just actually doesn't matter so much. Red is but it shows you a bit more detailed information where it is and kind of food at the place.
Yeah, so the wheel map application could
Yeah.
have any kind of metadata that you stored yourself, which wouldn't be in OSM.
It could, yes. I think
Yeah.
everything that it shows at the moment is in OpenStreetMap.
Yeah.
But that doesn't have to be like that. You could store data separately. You could have like more textual stuff.
Yeah. So what I just wondered, what are the ways of finding the fact that you had that kind of metadata by going through OSM? You know, can you link? You couldn't start putting in links to everything in OSM. Could
Well,
you?
OSM does tend to have like Wikipedia links or links. So if it was like a cafe, you can easily put like a link into that cafe's website. So that's a fairly standard. And there's one probably when Bob does his go through all the website. There is a website that actually shows you anything with HTTP links.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of an example where people build on top of OpenStreetMap and add like another layer.
Yeah.
There's one something like as a food app mapping actually. I think I might be interested in this. In America, there's a site looking at production of food within the city, farming concrete, that's what it's called. And they just use a base layer OpenStreetMap and then overlay information about how much produce is being produced.
But they're not using like linking nodes and then adding information to them.
No, they're just holding it completely separately, but using the other way I was going to say is there is a link data endpoint, Sparkle endpoint. So, and that's integrated with other things like geonames and DBPDF. And so, if you put in, for instance, Glasgow, it'll pull up. It'll know Glasgow's the same Glasgow as the Wikipedia Glasgow and the same name as GeoNames database, and it'll pull up all that information. So you don't necessarily have to link it directly. There is some people have been working on a kind of automated way of, so potentially you could type in the name of the cafe, and if there was a Wikipedia article about that already, it would just link it. You wouldn't have to physically go in and add that link in the database.
Yeah.
So that's starting to come along. I don't know much about it, but I can show you the site where you can
Yeah,
start.
I mean, as I was saying, if I was going to be looking at a way of permanently linking to things, I would do name and location. And if you know the name of something and the location, you'll always be able to find the OpenStreetMap node for it. It's probably that's probably the best way of linking, because names are unique and they won't change unless the place changes its name.
Do you have any further questions?
I just noticed that
Yeah.
there was a TED talk about Wheel Map by the guy. Is it
By Raoul,
Cross?
yeah.
Yeah.
7 minutes long.
I haven't watched that, but it's
Oh,
it.
I was just wondering. One of the things, the battles that I'm constantly getting at is trying to get the information out there to the users that want to use it, because we need the users to put the information in, etc.
Yeah.
And so has Wheel Map got any attention in like wheelchair magazines or anything like that?
I haven't seen it so much in wheelchair magazines, or I just had a quick look what other guides are out there. There's the rough guide, the rough accessibility guide, where people, which is free as well, for people with a blue badge, where they.
Is that a map or is it a?
It's a guide, and it tells you a bit like which places where you can go, good trip out, and also they cover a word as well for places that really look into how we can make that more accessible for the diverse people that we have here in the society, and reward such effort. This project is certainly one way to, or the website is at the moment the easiest way to access it in terms of how can I plan my journey beforehand. But I guess as people move on to more mobile devices, to look at how we could make that a bit more easier to use on different devices. So that might be something where the intention goes. I haven't seen real maps or covered, but it may be that I haven't looked at all resources out there, and what I want with that talk was more or less introduce the idea. There might be already other people talking about it. That would be great.
And are you you based in here or over in Germany?
I'm from Germany. I'm originally from Germany, but I study and live in Edinburgh. And I'm a user, and I thought it's a nice project that fits into our conference.
Definitely.
Detained. Sadly.
So are you kind of in contact with the Real Map community over there through a discussion forum? Or?
No. I to prepare this talk, I checked what is sort of the standard here in the UK and sort of what are they planning, but I would like to see more people actually contributing in data, and rather than being really involved in being that way involved in the community, rather than starting to device. That might be, because I know this is an effort, this is quite a big project, and you making it accessible for different devices and platforms, and you need to sit down and do that well, and with that contributing to a map in that so easily way, we can get more people who are part of this community, and maybe then just have this core developers or designers that creates a new iPhone.
Because I know that the information would be very useful. I've actually got my sister's boyfriend works doing lobbying for disabled folk, and there was a local council report which actually did a survey of all the disabled areas in his area, but unfortunately there's been no more funding for it. The survey's there, but it's being hidden away.
Yeah, what the street maps, what the real map is offering here is, if you have a batch of data, you can as well submit it to them, and then they find volunteers who might like to do that and might like to add that to the map and improve the map that way. So if you have the information that we can use, yes, we can find sources that transform it into making it
something
available to more people. So it's a kind of what kind of access to resource do you have? Some people simply just have a phone and maybe just have a web browser and see it beforehand, and some people maybe have access to a bigger data store. But none of them should be not be able to contribute to that project.
Yeah.
So,
I think one thing I've noticed about this project, especially at least on the website, you can just start editing, and you don't necessarily have to sign in, and it does it on behalf of you. Like, I think I've noticed, because I've actually used it in Edinburgh, and I've noticed that it's kind of, I don't know what their username is. Like
it's Wheelmap. Comes up as Wheelmap users.
Yeah,
Wheelmap
so I
users.
know I've edited it, but there's like this sort of, they kind of do it for you. But I think that's interesting because it makes it even easier to start editing the map. Like, there's no sign up, you just start doing it.
The first level where you really have to commit more as a user is when you add new.
I suppose it makes it harder to say, because people have asked the questions, how many editors are there in Scotland? And it's like, you really can't answer it, because if people use things like Real Map, you don't know how many users are necessarily using it. But I mean, I think it's great, because
then you might need to look at how much data get entrance. So rather than the user, how much information gets entered. If you have one user who does everything, great, but make it available to more people and in easier format, and you might get as well more data entry. Maybe not. But I mean,
No.
making it easy
But I think
to
it's-
do something is certainly a way to what I think has a bigger contribution.
Mhm. No,
Okay, thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you.